Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my mom because she started dating my BF dad? Sorry if anything is confusing, English is not my first language, please correct if something is very wrong. So me, F19, and my boyfriend, M20, have been dating for 4 years now. He was in 10th grade and I was in 9th when we got together. My parents and his always knew about our relationship. We actually lived near each other when we were younger and went to the same kindergarten. Now, his father was a single father for a long time and my parents got divorced 3 years ago. 3 weeks ago I got home, since the university is in the same city I still live with her, and I saw my mom and his dad kissing. It's an understatement that I was shocked. Like what the are you doing? I immediately called my boyfriend and he came over. We got into this huge fight with them, they started talking about marriage, the same day I requested to get a room in a dorm. And since then I haven't talked to her up until family dinner. While everyone was eating my aunt asked why my mom and I aren't talking, so I told them everything. Well maybe if she wasn't fucking my boyfriend's father, who is apparently going to be my brother's father soon I would talk to her and maybe I was harsh on her but I was really hurt. My mom got all red and embarrassed and started shouting about how our love is just young and why she should ruin her love life because we kids think it's going to last. I started crying shouting at my mom and left. My grandmother called saying how cruel I am. Literally somehow everyone is siding with my mom except my cousin. Am I the a-hole? Was I too cruel? The top comment is: a lot of people are skimming over the fact that OP's mom literally believed it was okay because she thinks their relationship is fleeting and won't last. They've been dating for 4 years mind you. OP's mom's relationship is newer than OP's. That is so disrespectful and ironic coming from OP's mom. OP has every right to feel uncomfortable. Everyone telling OP to grow up needs to understand that the mom could have chose a billion other dudes to date and she settled so quickly on her daughter's BF's dad, like seriously? Not the a-hole. OP, hopefully someday your mom will understand your point of view. The second comment is: not the a-hole. You've been together 4 years and your mom crossed a line. The whole family sided with her bad choices, that is weird. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad that if something happens to him and his wife, I wouldn't take my half-sister? My 26F mom passed away a few years ago. During that time, we discovered that my dad had been cheating on her with a girl my age. His whole family disowned him and cut contact with him except for me. I guess that at that time, I wasn't ready to let go of both my parents at the same time, but over these last 5 years, I've been able to gradually let go to the point I only see them, twice or thrice a month. It's like I have no family left. Don't get me wrong, I also blame the girl for what happened, but the responsibility toward my mom and me was my dad's, not her. They eventually had my half-sister, for F, and for what I've heard and know, my dad and his wife are living paycheck by paycheck, on a budget and in a rental home since everyone in the family changed the will, both my grandparents and my mom. My dad didn't get the house because it was an eventual inheritance from my grandparents, but since she died first, I'm the solely benefactor from both sides since my paternal grandparents skipped my dad. Now, 2 days ago I went to visit him because it was his birthday and he said he and his wife wanted to talk to me. I was like okay, they said that they wanted me to be the legal guardian of my half-sister in case something happened to the, mainly because I'll have the means for it. My dad's wife parents are able to care for her, but to an extent only, and that I'll have the needed money to take care of an innocent child. I said no, not for the money, but because I just don't wanna. I'm not close to my sister and currently I don't see nor want myself taking care of a child, much less, the reminiscent of my mom's last heartbreak. I said that I was willing to pass a monthly check, like a child support payment, but less than that since she's not my kid, but that was the only thing I was willing to do. My dad cried, saying that she was his baby and I was able to be a good sister like I was raised to, but I just laughed and said that he was no one to talk about goods and wrong and he and his wife should have thought of that before cheating. His wife called me a monster and kicked me out of the house. I left. Later that night I sent my dad a text informing him of my decision of cut ties with him, completely, and that from now on will be no contact unless it's an emergency. He's begging me to reconsider, but I don't know if I'm right or wrong. The top comment is: not the a-hole. He's with a girl your age, she'll be around for a good while hopefully woman shrugging light skin tone does she not have a family either? They can deal with whatever your father and his wife have going on. The second comment is: not the a-hole. They asked, you said no. They didn't like or respect your answer, and escalated the situation, you have every right to walk away. Guess your dad forgot you're an adult who can make her own decisions. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my boyfriend's homeless friend? Update by the end. So my F22 boyfriend, 24, has this friend, F25, who moved in 4 months because she had nowhere to go. Now I didn't mind having her as long as she respects our boundaries and the rules around the house, but that's definitely not it. She is very loud, comments on everything and just does inappropriate stuff in general and excuses it for being a Latina, and that's just how they are. She doesn't help at all besides maybe cooking sometimes, but doesn't clean up the mess she makes, and she invites people over whenever she wants. She changes in the living room in front of us, literally took off her underwear, and I asked her to change in her room, but her excuse is that she was trying to feel like home, and then she suggested I should too as it will strengthen my bond with my BF. I talked to my BF about how I'm kinda uncomfortable with this whole situation, and he told me not to overthink about it and that she's just very unbothered and cool. She always interrupted our time together and would sit between me and him during a movie or take my space while I take a toilet break, and she cuddles him in the most unfriendly way, and when I asked jokingly if she was trying to take my man she would excuse it on her ethnicity, and that's how they grew up, so I knew I had to ruin this Friday night they had for them. I went up to them and she was all over him as usual. I called my BF, and when he was about to get up she said how it was their favorite part and that he could leave later. I insisted, but she kept pulling him, so I went and pulled him to our room. Discussed how what she's doing is really upsetting and I no longer want her living with us, and he agreed I had the right but that she has nowhere to go and that I'll have to wait until she finds a job, which she's not even trying to get, while talking. She came and tried to open the door, which was locked, so she started knocking and we just ignored her until it got louder and he asked her to leave, but she got even louder and then started saying how I ruined the only time there she gets with him, which obviously is not the case. I had enough at that point, but my BF suggested he talks to her first, so he went and they took too long, like almost 2 hours, and I went to check on them and heard her telling him he shouldn't accept someone who ruins a friendship as a partner and that is a big red flag and that he should kick me out. But this place is actually my property that I inherited from my aunt, and at that point I knew I had to kick her out. I didn't even ask with what conclusion they came up with and waited in the living room until they came out, and I just told her to look for another place and gave her 2 weeks max. She's been crying since yesterday, refusing to eat and not coming out of the room, and my boyfriend is saying I went overboard and I just hit a sensitive spot of hers, basically telling her to leave when she has no family or anywhere to go. So am I the a-hole? Update. Thank you everyone for the advice and helping me open an eye on the real issue. It was past midnight when I posted that and my life literally took a 180 degrees in less than 24 hours. It has been overwhelming and I didn't expect this would reach many people. The comments were like a slap in the face I really needed. Apparently I was too blind. Yeah, I guess my boyfriend isn't who I thought he was. He has been trying to give her food, try to calm her down, and literally took a day off from college and work. He goes on Sundays too, which he never did for me, and he never even get days off from his classes unless really necessary with proof, nursing. It's how he managed to get a day off. I really wanted to make sure it is what it looks like before deciding my next move. I prepared lunch way before time and asked him if he was around for lunch, and his response? I'm trying to get her to have breakfast and you're talking about lunch, you're becoming unrecognizable. Yeah, I didn't know what to reply, so just asked again, but he said we can have lunch together if she's willing to join us, as it is rude if we eat without her. At this point I felt like shit tbh and asked him why was she so important that he cancelled all his plans just to support her emotionally, which he never did when I went through things myself, but he just left like that. I invited my guy friend over, which he doesn't like, and I explained to him our situation and just asked him to be comfortable. I didn't want to do the cuddling stuff like them because we didn't break up yet at that point, and it was weird anyways because we don't usually. My boyfriend never realized someone was over until he came to take food and he saw us having lunch together and he just gave me a look, said hi and was going to take some for themselves until he realized it was a creamy rice casserole, which his friend doesn't like, and yeah, I did that on purpose. And chicken roast with some sides, and he literally glared at me and said, you know she doesn't eat that, and I just replied, well it's not her who I made this for. Then he threw the plate, started shouting, asking what the f***ck was wrong with me and that he wishes he never dated me. It was so scary. My friend got involved, they got aggressive, and I just asked him to leave with his other girlfriend, which he replied with, oh so you're replacing me that fast, but I told him he was the one who has replaced me a long time ago, but I was too dumb to realize. He actually moved in fully when his friend came, and colleges here do provide dorms, but of course it's not like she can live with him, and I couldn't care less anymore. Also, no legal action is required for someone you haven't signed papers with where I live. They were just guests. I packed his things for him, which aren't a lot, and left it by the front door. He came crying and apologizing and acknowledging what he did was wrong and just other bullshit I didn't want to hear because the damage was already done. My friend was of great support and he dealt with everything else as I cried my eyes out in my room. And that sums up how I went through my first heartbreak, and it was my first relationship and I did love him, but I guess I can watch, eat, and do anything now without catering to anyone's needs. I'm changing the locks tomorrow morning and we're ordering fried chicken, apparently a proven heartbreak remedy by my friend. And although her excuse was bringing up her race, I know better than that. Thank you all for the support. The top comment is, not the a-hole, but you should kick your BF out too since he has no respect for you. They're both freeloading off of you and disrespectful as hell. Start the eviction proceedings. The second comment is, not the a-hole. If she needs a place to stay so badly, then she shouldn't have behaved so poorly in your own home. Do not let her stay. That would just be enabling her bad behavior. Out of curiosity, did your boyfriend correct her and tell her the property is yours?